it's going to go viral, especially after the pandemic. It's like a booming industry. You're going to have the NFT, which is going to be for the free vape and free pods. And that's when we're going to officially kick off the vape-to-earn game. We're going to ship all of the 10K vapes to our users globally. After that, all the sales from the vape and the pods will be using our token directly. So you have to use the token to buy more pods in order to stay in this game.
Vape to quit smoking and earn is definitely got to be one of the most memeable, yet also potentially like broadly impactful crypto project that's launched in a long time. So how would you describe what that phrase means and what Puffpaw is building?
Yeah, so first of all, we are from the vape industry and we know what's the big problem of the vape. The number one problem is that there's no way to quantify, to monitor your daily nicotine dosage. You are just puffing infinitely and you're not even aware of that. So we are building the first vaporizers that you can actually check your daily puff amount, duration, and also the nicotine level. Like this pod, we know the nicotine level and we put a chip onto each of the pod and the vape so that it's Bluetooth connected to our mobile app. Everything is tracked, the data is tracked. So we use the data to, using blockchain to incentivize people to quit nicotine addiction by giving them more rewards when they are choosing with the lower or even non-nicotine vape. So yeah, using this device to help people to quit nicotine.
Super cool. I mean, that's a great, I think, positive impact on society, and everyone vapes these days. So it's about, both, you can't reduce or change what you don't measure. So it's about measuring nicotine amounts and puff amounts, as well as trying to reduce nicotine addiction and everything else. What inspired you to build Puffpaw? Did you and your team have a background in vapes, I think you were saying?
Yeah, so me and my other two co-founders, we are actually college friends. We went to Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. Um, since then, since graduation, they've been in the vape industry forever. And I'm more like a side guy. I know they're building this. I know it's gonna go viral, especially after the pandemic. This is like it's like a booming industry, to be honest. I'm always in Web3 and I sunset my last project last year and went back to help them to build the vape business in the US, more on the business development or marketing side. So I see the industry, I know how it works, and I know if somehow we can bring vaporizers on chain, that will be very popular. It will be viral because this industry, people trading, people, just have fun, gambling. And a lot of folks, if you're going to the side events, they are smoking, they're vaping, they're out of the space, out of the venue. So I just have this idea for a long time. And I told my co-founders, what if I can, write a white paper and I want to try to see if people are interested in this. And so at the end of last year, started to write a white paper and get them, get initial feedback and interest from the industry and just put them in to build this with me together. So together we are building this right now on full-time basis. And they are like one of my co-founder, he is actually, he used to be the global BD for S'more, which is the biggest vape public traded companies in the world. And also we own part of this big supplier of Philip Morris. We actually supply over 76 million of IQOS last year. Just that's our production capacity. So we know, and we are using our own production, manufacturing, supply chain, all of the resources in the vape industry to build this thing together. And I'm more like, the Web3 side of our company. So, all of the Web3, the marketing, everything for Puffpaw, that's on me. But together we're like a mix of the vape and Web3, team.
Sounds like a dream team. That's the team you need to have for a vape to quit smoking and earn project. So talk to me about the devices. You've got Genesis pods coming out November 7th, and then a smart vape that's coming out in the next couple of months. So maybe let's start with the Genesis pods. Like, what are they? What's in them? Is there nicotine? Is there not?
Yeah, so the Genesis pod is literally because we are the main product is a non-nicotine. First of all, it's a non-nicotine pod, and our tokenomics, our financial incentive is to give more rewards to the non-nicotine pods. And we do carry some of the nicotine because it's it's impossible to ask a smoker to quit nicotine on day one. That's just not realistic, right? So we do carry some of them. And the reason we call it Genesis Pods is because we are going to launch the NFT, which is going to be for the free vaporizers later on. But we're giving our, early members a chance to buy that Genesis Pods before the vape comes out, because, once the vape is there, people are going to buy more pods. It's consumable. You have to keep the vape and you have to keep buying new pods. So we are using this as more like an um, initial research to find out who are out there trying to, be our first loyal consumer of this project. So, this is what we're doing right now. And later on, we're going to have the NFT, which is going to be for the free vape and free pods. And that's when we're going to officially kick off the vape-to-earn game. We're going to ship all of the 10K vapes to our users globally and launch the mobile app, the game on chain with Berachain. We're on Berachain, by the way. So yeah, that's our, the timeline looking forward to the next 3 months.
Awesome. And then the smart vape itself, you said there's an encrypted chip, a puff counter. What is that device like? Like, what are the features on that? How does it differ from a normal vape, I guess you could say?
Yeah. So first off, this is not a disposable vape. This is a closed pod system. You keep the vape itself and you have to keep buying the new pods. The pod is disposable. So for our pod, we put a we put an encrypted chip at the bottom of the pod and also within the vape. So every time you put a pod into the vape, that's how Bluetooth connected to our mobile app. We're going to know all of the data, all of the, identification number of each of the component. So that's how we are tracking your smoking activity, smoking data using this device. And because, everything out from the factory, we know, since they're in the factory, we know all of the information, the flavor, the nicotine level of the pod. So all of that information, we are capturing that on day one. And that's everything. It's sit on stored on our platform, so that we can use the data to create this file mechanism to incentivize people to do the better, to behave better, trying to quit nicotine. So you can imagine this is something like a step in with a real pair of sneakers. So if you compare to the normal vape and the vape store, it's gonna be very different because they don't, most of them don't have the Bluetooth module, and secondly, they don't have that encrypted chip. So if this is a game, you don't know how to encrypt that device, it's gonna cause a lot of civil attack. People are gonna cheat on this game. They're gonna, create their own pods, their own flavor, their own juice, and try to win more, earn more token, right? So that's not gonna work. So we have to use create a new device just for this anti-civil attack game for our users. And we also have the screen here, to check your social status and also show your financial return. Like every time you puff,
cool.
and you're gonna see your return here. So this is like your monthly return and your daily return, and show your smoking data on our mobile app, so you can track all of your data, smoking activities there. And also because we have the NFC here, every time you are meeting another friend holding the same vape, you can tap with the other vape, and you guys will add friends with each other. You're gonna see his profile, and also both of you guys will earn additional token as the incentive for social engagement. So that's the fun thing we're trying to create. We don't position this thing as a depend project. When we're talking with smokers, consumers, they know nothing about depend, right? It's just a concept in the Web3 industry. We're just telling people, hey, this is a fun game. It's a vaporizer for young folks. If you like it, we're gonna help you to quit nicotine, and somehow you can earn more. You can earn some crypto. So that's just how we marketing this thing facing the general users.
For sure. Can you take a puff for us?
Yeah.
Nice. I would too if I was there with you in person.
So you can see the coin flipping there and check and show how many puffs you have
Super cool.
today. So it's like counting your
Yeah.
puff amount. Yeah.
And the duration, like you said. Yeah, that's awesome. I like the socialify component as well. I think just adding that in will make it more kind of viral. I think people spend more time on the app.
Yeah, totally. You have to make it more fun. And that's how we can build a network for all of our users on this platform. Because the other big problem of the vape industry is that it's tobacco product. There's no way to do pay promotion on any of the social media. So all of these sales are heavily relying on distributor and smoke shops. They are taking away over 80% of the profit from selling every single vape. So for the brands, for the manufacturers, they have no access to the users' data, to the traffic. So what we are building here is to build that smokers consumer network on our platform. Because of the vape to earn game, we can easily attract a lot of smokers, vape consumers, onboard them to the platform. And the other side, maybe we are producing our own vape, or we use our mechanism protocol to help other vape guys to produce this healthier vaporizers and build them onto a platform. So we can pair them together. That's how we are trying to reshape or revolutionize this very traditional Web1 industry.
For sure. So I think the supply side and incentive system definitely makes sense. In terms of the demand, or like how you're gonna accrue revenue or accrue value to the token, right? To make the token have some kind of intrinsic value. Like what type of demand do you plan to serve? So maybe like use cases or customer profiles. What are you thinking there?
Yeah. So first of all, you have to buy more pods, right? You have to buy the vape, you have to buy pods. And initially, we are launching NFT for the vaporizers, but that's just like for Genesis NFT, only for the first batch. After that, all the sales from the vape and the pods will be using our token directly. So you have to use the token to buy more pods in order to stay in this game. Our thesis is not pushing young folks to quit vaping. We are helping people to quit nicotine addiction. We think there should be a balance between your social, your mental health, and your physical health. Vaping, it's fun for young folks. It's a way for them to make new friends, to make cool friends. And there's a lot of social pressure, social peer pressure. If you are hanging out with your friends, everybody's vaping. You're the only one living out not vaping. You feel a lot of pressure. So vaping is different from smoking cigarettes. We are not trying to take vaping away from folks. It's fun, right? It's mentally fun. So we want to make it healthier and people can stay in that fun game. So when they are using the vape, we are limiting their daily puff amount. So even for the non-nicotine pod vape, you can only puff for 150 puffs. So you're still consuming some sort of pods. You have to keep buying new pods to stay in this vape to earn game. So you have to buy more pods with our token. That's like literally the number one utility of the token, right? And also in order to maintain the value of the token, to keep that vape to earn game more, organically growing in the long term, we are on Berachain, the proof of liquidity chain. So there's staking, there's providing liquidity to the LP, and that kind of mechanism is to help us to make sure the token has a organic growth in the long term, hopefully. So that's like the fundamental to keep pushing more of the new users to get on board. And just come back to the very original point. What we are doing here is still building a new consumer brand. So technically, theoretically, even without a financial incentive, you are still consuming our Puffpaw branded vape. We are still building the highest quality vape comparing to whatever the vape you can buy from the normal smoke shop. As long as you can keep doing that, we believe that eventually people will come to you just because of that vape, not because of the crazy daily rewards. That's our goal, of course, right? So that's a lot of thing in the long term, and I'm not talking about the data part, which is the second part. We can talk about that later. But we're accumulating tons of the health data from this device from smokers.
Yeah, so that makes a ton of sense. I guess I just missed that. The very obvious thing there, right? Is like if people are buying, there's demand coming into the system in terms of people buying pods and also vapes. If that demand is priced in the token, even if they can, probably want to make them able to pay with stables or credit card, but you convert the token on the back end, you're kind of buying it off the market and providing it to them so that they can spend it. I think that's obviously like a big revenue driver. I've also seen on Twitter, I don't know if it was you guys or someone else, said maybe put ads on the vape screens. And I also want to talk about the health data. So maybe those two other demand drivers as well. What do you think about those?
Yeah, so that was like my it's like my very crazy shitpost idea. So I posted. So of course our Gen 1 will not be able to carry ads, and to be honest with you, I don't buy in the Web2 ads theory to happen in Web3 again. Somehow you have to build a new promotion or marketing or advertisement, that kind of structure in the Web3 logic. So I personally don't buy in that, but that shit post, I just say, hey, is there anyone want to run ads on this the screen of the vape? We can do that. It's not, there's no technical difficulty for doing that. Um, and I got 10 DMs from
Mhm.
different projects just within the first 24 hours, from DeFi protocol, from NFT, from some SaaS platform. It's crazy. People really looking to run the ads on that tiny screen, because you get a lot of attention from the vape screen for our users, of course. Yeah, so that's number one demand for sure. The second part is the data. So our users are very sub health population. It's 1.3 billion smokers, very sub-health population. Their respiratory disease related data, it's very valuable. And even during or after the pandemic, there's no such device to collect such data. And our device, we can collect all of your smoking activity data, as well as from the mobile app. We can use our token to incentivize smokers to provide more of their personal information, background information, and to bind that with your smoking data. So all of that data set will be encrypted and controlled, managed by the user themselves. We are using FHE, by the way. So it's encrypted, stored off chain, and put a key on chain. So each smokers, they can determine which third party of that data consumer they want to reveal or sell that data to. That's the second phase of our platform. Because
Mhm.
imagine the same data set maybe only worth $5, $5 for each of the users. But what if you can sell that $5 worth data set to 30 different data consumers on our platform? And on a monthly basis, because this dynamic data, right? Every month your health condition is different. So you can sell that over and over again. $5 times 30 data consumers times 12 months. It's a lot of money. It's over $1,000 per year.
Yeah.
That on top of the vape to earn incentive, that's a lot of return for the users who care about the incentive, right? And somebody don't even smoke. They don't care about the vape. They know nothing about this device, about vape, about smoking at all. It's totally fine. They can hold our NFT and they can
Mm.
gift this vape to their friend who is a smoker, and they can share the profit. They can share the daily mining rewards. Maybe 90%, 10%, 80%, 20%. That's their job. We are just a platform. We're just gonna provide a feature to them. They can determine by themselves. So that's how we are using the Web3 degen speculators or investors as our free promoters to get in touch with the real smokers out there who knows nothing about Web3, about blockchain, about crypto. And that's why on our screen, as I just showed you, that daily rewards, the financial return, we show that in the US dollar sign. Because it doesn't make sense to show the crypto there if you are a real smoker, you know nothing about crypto, right? I'm just showing that in the US dollar sign, make it as a no-brainer for you. Later on, when you are trying to earn more, you're not going to be satisfied, right? Because your friend who is holding the NFT, he's earning like 80% or 90%. You will try to earn more. And when you're trying to earn more, you will want to buy the vape from Puffpaw directly. You have to keep buying the new pods from us directly, or you have to claim the rewards from our mobile app. That's the moment we're going to educate him. Okay, behind this US dollar sign, everything is actually crypto, and we created a wallet address. We create this smart contract, everything. We're going to educate him from there to onboard this Web2 users to understand more about the logic of crypto.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I like how much you're abstracting away all the crypto complexity. Because if you really want to go, mainstream and appeal to a very wide market, which vaping and people that vape, is, then you need to make it as simple as possible. But the leasing part is funny. Maybe the new gig economy is vape to earn delegation. Yeah, and wanted to also chime in on I guess just the demand side of the health data. Like the use case that came to mind most immediately for me was Puffpaw could potentially power the longitudinal kind of health study that everyone's been looking for around vapes and their impact on human health. No one really knows because it's hard to get that data over a long enough timeline. But if you have, say, you guys really, become super popular and you have 100 million people vaping Puffpaw vapes a year, and all that's being tracked and recorded, and then those users can monetize their data or make it available to a lab or a health study, I think it'd be really interesting.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. And you are actually the first one that is not saying, oh, vape is so bad per this research, per that research, this data, that data. There's the fact is that right now there's no such solid research paper giving you the scientific research outcome saying that vaporizer is definitely harmful to your health or to your lungs, respiratory system. It's because of the nicotine. It's because of that artificial toxic chemicals that people are using, the very low, very cheap ingredients in the material. It's not about vaping. Like if you are vaping non-nicotine and organic ingredients, there's no scientific proof saying this is still bad. So it's still very early. It's unknown, like you said. This
Mm-hmm.
industry is very young. It's only probably less than 10 years. And when you are trying to do this kind of scientific research, you have to make it in a long period, like last for several years. And right now, we just don't have that enough research to back this kind of thesis. So yeah, that means our data could be very valuable to those research, longevity or any related research center, institutions, or even just health product companies, or like other wearables who try to combine more of the health data from that users from different part of the body, and also health insurance companies, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
this is like your health condition on a daily basis, like if it's stable, right? So that's a huge demand from that perspective. And even just before we talk about the health data, when we are going back to talk about a tobacco company or vape company, they have no access to any of the consumer data. This is still consumer data from their target users. So we are literally, helping them to collect all the data. Like, what's the preference? What's the behavior? What's the habit? What's the thing? Like when and how does people vape and where? Right, all of the occasions, scenarios that will have that will be super helpful for the tobacco and the vape companies to convert them into a new kind of product thesis, or when they're doing the new product line, they can have more solid information from the real users instead of just buying the third party consulting firm that kind of data. That's the existing fact right now. That's how people are doing this kind of product development right now. It's just like it's in blind.
For sure. So, two more things I want to talk about are Berachain and then also your seed round. So, let's start with Berachain. You guys were incubated by them. I think you're definitely one of the loudest voices on Twitter about the chain and the ecosystem and how much you like building there. So, I want to ask you what you like so much about building in the Berachain ecosystem, and also just why do you choose to build there versus other chains that you could have chosen to build on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I was start writing the white paper at the end of last year, beginning of this year, we I actually try to approach different chains, and it's a consumer driven product, right? If you're talking about consumer, there are literally just several options: base, Solana, or looking for a new layer one. For base, I just don't think our product can have that same vibe or culture with the base. I love base. I use base a lot. I don't think this crazy idea, the vape to earn idea, is that kind of one of the acceptable idea for the base culture. For Solana, it's a lot of deep in projects. There are tons of competition. What's the specialty of us? I want to stand out in the fastest way. So it turns out to looking for a new layer one blockchain, either Berachain or Monad, and I
Mm-hmm.
choose Berachain because of the culture, because of the core, the very degen DeFi traders. They're originally coming from Olympus DAO, right? And also the whole proof of the liquidity mechanism, people are trying to build very crazy DeFi protocols. They understand the degen playbook. They understand the to earn game. If you're building another to earn game on another chain, people are going to say, "Oh, it's Ponzi, right? It's Ponzi," and they're going to kill you. But on Berachain, you never have to worry about that part. Like you don't need to explain. Like people are so open minded about a to earn game. So in early days, I approached the BD, approached the foundation, and the core, DeFi protocol founders. They support it, they loved it, and they're actually, my very early angel investors. And it's just literally everybody, the community are so supportive. Different communities are so supportive within the Berachain ecosystem. And also, the Genesis NFT of Berachain, which is called Bong Bear. It's a collection of over 300. And every bear is holding the bong. And also, the founder's name, Smokey. Just a lot of that kind of culture, the meme thing, the code, the vibe. We share the same vibe. That's the most important part. So it's very easy for us to code launch under this kind of atmosphere, and it makes more sense for us to just go natively to build this project on Berachain naturally. So I didn't even have a second thought to going to migrate, to move to another chain or choose between two chains. It's just like on day one we're going with Berachain because that's like the only place can allow us to fully utilize, to grab the support from the community.
For sure. That makes sense. And I mean, it is definitely an out there idea, right? But that's what crypto's about, is trying really cool things. I want to talk about, you know, pitching the idea and the idea being wacky to investors potentially. So you announced a $6 million fundraise in early September, which is huge. It's led by Lemnis Cap, Volt, Spartan, Seed Club, a bunch of other participants. So given how out there the idea was, I'm sure you faced plenty of rejections, and you also had to like spend time convincing investors like, this is something interesting, this is differentiated, this is why it's going to work. So what was the fundraise process like for you?
Uh, it is very, very, I would say intense. We try to meet all of the investors within a very short time frame. So I actually met over 70, 80, or close to 100 different investors, individual investors and VCs within the 4 or 5 weeks. So started to raise before ETC, meet tons of investors with our prototype during ETC, and close that 2 weeks after ECC. It's very bipolar. On the one side, Lemnis Cap, Volt Capital, Spartan, all of the investors you see on our cap table, they are very supportive. They didn't have any of the question after the first and second phone call, and just write a check. And with all of the investors, they are just gonna deny, they're gonna turn down on immediately. So it's very short of the
You love it or you hate
consideration
it.
for each of
Yeah,
the. Yeah, yeah, either love or you hate it. That's just very, I think it's very interesting for this idea. It's very controversial, I would say. People have a very drastic opinion about this, and um, we didn't spend much time to convince anybody from like, hey, it's actually not like what you think. It's actually helping people to quit nicotine addiction. It's like every time on the first phone call, as long as they understand, oh, you're actually vape-to-earn to incentivize people to quit nicotine, they're good with it. They're good with it because it is an industry, very booming, and there's nobody else doing this thing, and they are willing to bet on this kind of new thesis, new game. So yeah, it's very quick. Everything happens so quick, and that was just like my experience with fundraising. Everything happens so fast, and you either love it or hate it.
for sure. And then maybe you touched on it a bit there, but what advice would you have to other founders that are first movers or have a very non-consensus idea when they're looking to raise VC funding?
I would say get everything ready before you meet any of the investors. Get everything ready means not just because you think out of the idea, go to market strategy, everything. It's more like you have all of the material, you have all of the people, you have all of the thing in hand before you reaching out to any of the investors saying, oh, I'm going to get this ready in the next 2 months, and that's my plan, blah, blah, blah. If you're raising a seed round, you should have all of that thing in hand and ready to present to any of the investors, and don't don't rely on the investors to figure out anything for you. You just better get that data room ready for them. Get an investment memo right up for any of the investors. They don't have time for you. This is Web3. You're not raising in Web2, in Web1. People don't have time for you. This industry moves so fast. So you have to be prepared to get everything ready and always try to squeeze more of the investors under the same time frame and try to convince them, you know, this is something you are going to do, you are ready to do, and you're already doing that. And I think that will have a better momentum overall. Like I've seen people trying to raise, over the 6 months, just meet some investors, sell several investors every single week. That won't work. You have to keep it short. You have to keep it quick.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's great advice. It looks like you had a bunch of angels in your round too. I know that's become a lot more common these days. So tell me about the motivation behind that and maybe the benefits you've seen from it already.
From angel investors, it's more like mentor. Like angel investors is very different from VCs because they, let's be realistic, right? They work for their own back. So they are actually more like a mentor on using their personal experience in this industry as a founder or as an investor to give you more suggestions and help you to connect with other people. So I think I talk more to my angel investors, to be honest with you, because some of them, they are not looking at 100 deals every day. They love this idea, they love this product. That's why they invest. They're not investing because they have to deploy 100 million capital this year, right? So that's a huge difference. They tends to have more time to spend to talk with you, just face to face, or give you some time to understand what you are struggling right now, how they can help you better. So I think it really makes sense for any of the founders to at least leaving 20-30% or even more space for the angel investors, because they're going to be your friends in the long term.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to hit today or anywhere you want to point our listeners to on the internet?
um I would just say I don't have any questions right now. I would just say I'm more than happy to to talk with anyone out there who disbelieve or still have doubt, have any questions about this concept, about to earn, about tokenomics, about the fun side of Puffball. Any questions, please let me know, and I'm willing to share, to talk, even get on another interview or Twitter space or podcast to talk about that part of the story. I'm willing to talk with anyone.
You got to fight the FUD where you can. Well, Reffo, thanks for coming on. This has been a blast, and I'm excited to get this episode out and help tell the Puffpaw story.
Thank you so much, Connor. Thank you for time.